and going live.
I think the video is close enough. Good afternoon, good evening to everybody here, and welcome you all to the Winners Lounge, the secret to your success. I am Vivek Leonard, and I have with me Ms. Amanda Tanujam.
Hi everyone, Amanda here.
Hi, Amanda. Great. And today we have with us the winners of the Community Resilience Shelter Division, Team Stellar and Team Virya. These teams are the winners of this division of the first ever Solar Decathlon India. The students worked on designing a community resilience shelters that are integral to promote resilient communities in the face of extreme weather events or disasters. And the finalists presented their state-of-the-art net zero and carbon neutral designs and impressed the division jury panels. Today, all of us are here in this lounge to get to know the secret behind their success stories, their memorable experiences, and of course, their future plans. Once again, congratulations, teams. And let's get started with an introduction to the two winning teams over here. We'll start with the winners. Team Stellar, could you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Manan Seth. So I'm a third year BArch student in Rachna Sansad, and my role in my Team Stellar, was to find out the technological innovations that we can integrate into the systems and make it more efficient. Also, I looked over the simulation and the construction part of our project.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Manav Sharma. I'm from third year from Rachna Sansad. My work was I had done with the research part of community residence shelter, and then helped the team with the energy efficiency goal, which was for the forest structure. So yeah.
You're on mute. We can't hear. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Myself Tanvi Pimte from Rachna Sunset AOA, and my role was in architectural planning and designing with the presentations and all merging things along with it. Yeah.
I am Shruti Bhatt. I'm from Academy of Architecture, Rachna Sansad. And my role in the project was to maintain the structural integrity and research on the context and certain parts of the project. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Team Stellar. And now let's move on to the runner-up team, Team Virya.
Hi, I'm Shreya Mandlik from VNC. I'm a fourth year VR student. I handle the innovation part of the team contest.
Hello everyone, I'm Rituja Shitoe, a fourth year BArch student from Dr. Bhanubhen Nanavati College of Architecture, Pune. And I handled the affordability contest, also took part for the design and compilation of the reports.
Hello everyone, I'm Pratishtha Pandey and I worked on energy efficiency along with my teammate Janvi here. And I also worked on the solar system design for our structure.
Great, thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Janvi. I'm a fourth year BR student from BNCA. I worked on the project partner handling part. So I was the coordinator for all of our meetings as well as with the project partner and industry partner. And I worked on the energy simulations along with Pratishtha.
All right. I mean, thank you,
Wonderful.
everyone. And congratulations once again to both the teams. You guys have done a very incredible job. So let's get to know more about your project and your secrets to the success. So Team Stellar, uh, like just walk me through, the winning moment. Like what happened? What was the first thing you did after you won?
We were actually we were just hoping that because all the competitions, all the teams in the group had done very fantastic jobs. So we were actually hoping for the best. And the time when the winning team was announced, we were actually lost for words. And as soon as that happened, we actually joined in the meet, and we were just talking over each other. So that is it. That was the first reaction.
Right. What about the night before the presentations? How were you guys? Were you guys like all decked up, preparing? What was it like? Can you walk me through that?
So um we wind up early as we planned the day before the presentation, and we um, even though we winded up early. I think that everyone was actually practicing their presentations in their dreams and their sleep also the whole night, because I was, and we were very nervous because it was our first time to speak on such a stage and with such honorable jurors. So that was very overwhelming for us, as well as very opportunistic at the same time.
Right. And were you guys prepared for the grand jury pitch?
Not at all. I personally never believed that we were going to win. Uh, I, I also did not firsthand join the presentations uh, meet earlier, and I was like, no way that we are going to win. And then Venkatesh saw and said about the shipping containers and stuff, and then I was like, oh no, this is going to happen. And then it was a very
Right.
nice moment for all of us.
Right. It must be a great moment. Yeah. Yeah. So, Team Pirya, what about you guys? Did you guys know that you were going to win? What was your winning moment like?
So we had actually prepared for the grand jury presentations as well. So even though we didn't get to do those presentations, we still were prepared, and we were extremely happy even being the runner-ups, because we thought that all of our competitors have done great job, and the entire competition has been has set an excellent standard as the first solar decathlon of India ever.
Right. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
very
you
nice.
guys, your team is the first team who was prepared for the grand jury.
Very true. Great. No, I just had a simple question, Amanda. I mean, I wanted to ask the teams this question. It's been bothering me for a while now. What's the story behind your team names? Let me ask Team Stellar first. Why Stellar? How did you get
Yeah,
the
we
name?
want to know. Yeah.
Well, it has whatsoever no connection with our project. First of all, I mean, because it was the first time that we encountered with Solar Decathlon. It was the first time that we heard its name, and we were not very clear of the idea and how much big of a stage it is. So we just started randomly searching words that were synonyms with solar and stuff, and then we thought of cosmos and universe, and then we stuck up with stellar as a word, and we thought it was cool. So it was
Very
because
nice.
of the lack of knowledge that we had, but we are sure going to tell our juniors and stuff that please don't keep such kinds of team names. Think about it a little bit and stuff.
Brilliant, man. I mean, there's no lack of knowledge there. It's an absolutely wonderful name, Stellar. And it's good to know how you came with it. Very nice. Very nice. Now, going to the BNC folks, Team Virya. What about y'all? Why Virya?
Well, we were looking at a name that not only represented our aim in the competition, but also what our team stood for. It is a Sanskrit word which means diligence and energy, which is what our team comprised of and what our team aimed at in the competition.
Thanks. That's very nice because sometimes people use the first letters of their names instead of form team names. For a change, I really love the way you've named yourselves. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. The team teller, you guys picked a shipping container, right? So why did you pick the shipping container as a basis of your solution? Like, did you look for any other alternatives?
Yeah, our earlier intent was, as to how we can work in a densely populated environment like Mumbai being very densely populated. And then we started to look at modular options. We were moving back and forth with that idea. Ultimately, using pods or those different things were there in our mind, but shipping containers being related to the port, which Mumbai, has a major share in the export and imports of the country. So we thought that why not take this as a, a module which will again reflect to our context. So yeah, that was the deciding factor in that.
Also, I would like to add, I mean, the concept of shipping containers as being used for construction and for homes is not. I mean, it's been there for quite a time, but why now is the perfect time uh, to execute it is because due to the unfortunate incident of pandemic, uh, most of the uh, most of the transactions that happened overseas from the shipping containers happened with China, but because of the pandemic that got stopped and India started their own production line of shipping containers from this year,
Right.
from the last year. That's why now it will be more economical wise, more efficient now. So that was one of the factors that played in our hand very well in the competition also.
Okay, so then in that case, did you get chance to visit the shipping containers even during the pandemic?
Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
our industrial partner was basically dealing with such projects regarding shipping containers. So we do had visit with them to share our information and to share our details with how our design works really well with use of these kinds of material. So we do have a visit for that as well.
Okay, that's nice. And can you tell us how much can uh, how much can one buy a shipping container for? How much does it cost?
well, it depends on the structural integrity and like how much load that you're going for. But for normal
In
house,
your project, yeah,
yeah,
if you
for our
apply in your
project, yeah.
project.
In our project, it was different because it was a mid-rise building. It was not G+1, G+2. It was G+7 with shipping containers. So we had to go for the top-notch shipping container. So that costed about uh, to 1.8 to 1.3. It was the market price, but this is now. But as I mentioned that India is starting their own, so on own production line. So in 3 to 4 years, it will decrease by 40%. So that will be around 80,000 to 1 lakh after five years from
Yeah.
now.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So, Team Virya, this is interesting. I mean, you worked on a resilience shelter during a pandemic situation. How did you actually consider the situation and make relevant design decisions? Team Virya?
So,
Yeah.
so the pandemic situation really affected the communication that we could have with the local people. So our project partner Selco had a local on-ground NGO working in Odisha called Sakal. So we had conversations with them, and we did a need-based assessment on like first we chose Odisha as the state for its disaster profile, and then we spoke with the local NGOs, and then we also tried to speak with a localite who stays in the village that we are designing for. And it was a very different experience because the localite could only speak in Odia and some broken Hindi. So we had to manage the language barrier to get what they wanted. And even to speak with that person, he had to come to a different village just to get a mobile network. So that really drilled into us the fact that we are designing for a very remote area, and we have to be very contextual in the design.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, the need-based assessment, incidentally, how did you go about the need-based assessment? Who did you use for this?
So, like I mentioned, our project partner and their local contacts. So we had a questionnaire prepared for both of them, and the local NGO actually helped us with all of the input data that we got. So that is how we did a need-based assessment. So for the first part was selecting the disaster profile. So we looked at all of the states of India, and then we came up to Odisha. And then in Odisha, we went to a tribal remote area which didn't have any disaster shelters in its vicinity.
Right. The millet was the hero of your project. So we have many types of millets here. Jowar, bajra, ragi. So which millets were the focus of your work?
Okay,
And
so
have you? Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
we did a socio-economic analysis study of the entire state of Odisha and the particular area, district, Gajapati district that we are in. And we found out that before there were different rules going on. So after the British rule, when we got independence, public distribution system was put in place, and then eating rice became a status symbol. So there was a cash crop cultivation started for rice, and the traditional diet of millets, which had a lot of variety and nutritional diversity, so that fell behind, and the health indicators worsened after that. So if you keep eating only one kind of grain, you will obviously land up with anemia and other health indicators falling down. So the traditional diet of these people used to be a millet based diet. So we didn't focus on a particular millet. It is the whole family of millets which is actually climate resilient. So they need less water than the cash crops, and they are very hardy.
Very nice, very nice. So, a question to both the teams now. Was there a point in the competition where you were really overwhelmed, as a team? When did that happen, and how did you pull yourselves out of the situation? I'll ask Team Stellar first.
Yeah, around our final submissions during the month of April, since we are in third year, and there are university examinations, so it again is a there are two different submissions going back to back. So that was a time where we were too burdened with work, but since we had taken part in this and we were already in a part of SDI finals, so we thought that why not just push a little more. It may take us a little more sleepless nights, which we are used to by now because we are architecture students. So, let's aim for that, and yeah, ultimately, it worked. Both of these worked properly. So yeah.
Wonderful. Any other moments where any of your other team members were overwhelmed, Manan or someone else who want to pitch in? Tanvi, Shruti?
I think we all weren't much prepared for the grand jury, and the fact that we had our AD final juries just after a day of grand jury. So we were quite nervous for our AD juries also, because that were a part of university and university exams, and then we were also quite nervous for the grand jury because we weren't expecting ourselves as a part of such big jury.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Great. So let's move to Team Virya now. So Team Virya, what was the point in the competition where you felt really overwhelmed as a team?
Okay, so our team actually is made up of a vertical division where there are third year students and fifth year students, as well as people who are doing their jobs at that time. So our schedules were very messed up. It was very difficult to get the whole team together for a singular conversation. Then we had tests coming up and final submissions. So I think what worked for us was our team dynamics, where if somebody was overwhelmed, we took up their load and kind of the other members of the team worked together to actually get the submission done for the deliverables.
Wonderful,
So while
wonderful. Any other? Yes,
yeah,
go ahead.
also while the like coincidentally it may be like every time that there was an SDI submission there, there used to be have the academic submission either for the third year or for the fourth year. So like it was difficult to contribute the work, and then um, there is no extension from the college side for the submissions and then handle this thing and everything. It's quite difficult. And at the end of this Solar Decathlon deliverable for submission, we had a lot of health issues, like family health issues or ourselves. Were many of them were tested positive, and then distributing the work amongst us. But we did manage and pushed ourselves. Like we decided in amongst us that we are in it, so we have to win this. So it was like, yeah, we don't have any option than doing this. We have to do this.
Very
Right.
true, very
And
true. I
yeah,
mean, it was overwhelming
I
for pretty
can,
much everybody. Very true.
yeah, I can understand. Yeah. And so how different was winning, division winners, winning for the division itself, different from when you guys were selected among the six teams, right? For as a finalist, how different was it? What was that moment like compared to the team? I mean, it's for what the team? So Team Virya, what was it like for you guys?
From the start, whenever we met, one thing was common, that it doesn't matter whether we win or not. Our common goal was that we are learning so much out of it that we did not care at the moment whether we would be shortlisted or not. However, when the results came out and we got selected in the top five or top six, it was very surprising because we just worked to submit and learn. However, after that, it boosted up our confidence, and then we were like, we have to win this and get to the finals.
Right, great. Team Stellar, what about you guys? Any exciting stories?
Yeah. So again, as the other team also said, that we were again, the basic idea was to just learn, because the modules which were being curated and being given to us were more than enough for gaining knowledge regarding this, and we were just hoping that we can give our best shot before the final submissions in February. And once we actually got into it, so again, there was a moral boost for us, as to like if we have gone this far, we can actually go ahead and we can have a shot of winning in our division. So that was the idea. So yeah, that again made us work more harder and in a more efficient way.
Right, right. Yeah, you guys were really motivated in that sense then. Yeah. So in the last month, like when the work must have been like really intense, right? How many hours a week were you guys spending on the competition? Team Virya.
So, if we look back at the entire year that we spent with this competition, so for our like if we look back it as our fourth year, we remember it only as our Solar Decathlon competition that we did for the entire semester. So, like both the semesters. So, um, we we managed both of them, like our academics as well as the Solar Decathlon India. But the process and each of the reports, or the level of details that we went through in each of the reports, one after the other, that the process was so enjoyable that like if we look back now, all we can see is the entire journey of Solar Decathlon India through this pandemic that we had.
Right, right. So what about the other teams? How many hours a week? Like, can you just say approximately?
It was same as what Rituja said. It was, we can only remember Solar if we try to remember the past 8 months that I've spent. There's only Solar Decathlon in our mind that goes, and and it was just a comment. Also, what we thought that should be done in general to colleges, um, in colleges, that Solar Decathlon somehow can be incorporated in the semester syllabus or the colleges or the curriculum in such a manner, because for all of us, speaking from my team, all of us felt that it was that this is the closest that we have got to the real practice in our whole journey of as an architect or as an engineer, or as a landscape designer. So we thought that it would have been very nice and great if somehow it could have been integrated with a college in a semester of the college curriculum, so that we would have given more and learned more out of it, because it's a really nice opportunity, and you can take its worth out of it if you give it 100%.
Right.
Very, very valid points there, Manan. I mean, I totally understand it if we could integrate this with college curriculum. But I mean, a huge part of this lies with us as students as well, right? So I just want to think of it in those lines and ask Team Stella this question. How would you use, that is being the recipient of this award, take forward the ideas in your careers? I mean, I'd like to ask all of you, let's have a conversation around that. You're the recipient of this grand award here, the big award. How would you take forward these ideas in your career now?
um, um, but the value that the award holds, aside from that, it's the ideas and the methodology and the all the seminars that we held and all the interactions that we had, uh, maybe in the career connections, or listening about other teams' ideas of all the winners of all the uh, else division, uh, all the finalists. It's they are those ideas and those methodologies that I think that I will take forward and try to implement and learn more about them in a more deep manner, and try to understand them, because personally for me, now, after doing Solar Decathlon, I've got very much inclined towards sustainability, and I feel that it is sort of down note, because people think that sustainability is like a extension to architecture, and it's an option that you can take or you cannot. But after doing this competition, I think that it is a necessity for every project, for every designer, uh, regardless of the field. In the current time, it's regardless of the field. You should think about sustainability. Even if you are a businessman, even if you are in economics, in any field.
I would like to add in this about the way the competition was held. That is the this the requirements of different kinds of team members. That is the engineer, one which was required from the masters. Also, the interaction with the clients all gave us certain ideas about how design gets limited after a certain period of time, and in this way how even the simple design works in a wonderful way is what I think I learned out of it by responding to different fields of people, and yeah, I think that's what changed my perspective as a designer.
Yeah. So, Tanvi, I mean, Shruti, you just mentioned that, the designs get limited after a period of time. Can you elaborate a little more on that area?
In our case, our client was the government itself, and our program was a secondary thing to an existing bus depot. So in this way, we got to know how to we improved in our speaking skills too, how to get information from the client about what he wants, what he doesn't want, and the site studies and the way we studied context was in a very practical environment. That is the affordability, the kind of sustainability we were trying to implement in our design was somewhat not exactly the same as what the client would have wanted. So, we tried certain adjustments were there, certain compromises, and in this way, we tried to mold our design in a more simpler way, such that it looks aesthetically well as it functions well.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti. Manav, would you would like to pitch in here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah. Sorry.
sorry, yeah. Manav, yeah, you carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, so I guess what my teammates had said, it was, the basic point as to how these modules which we had incorporated. So as an then we started with documentation at the first year. That's usually a starting point for us in architectural schools. Now, as we go on to this technical aspect, as to thermal comfort and energy efficiency, water conservation, these all things are actually, we know all of these things, but it's a very different ball game when you try to implement that in a project. So from now on, in all of these projects, when we start thinking in those ways, that could actually make a project more realistic and more practical, to be very honest, because now we know as to how things move or things go around, and as to how we deal with clients, or as to how we deal with industrial partners. So that experience of incorporating everything in our design, so that even for the consultants where we in future where we deal with them, they actually have, we actually make an approach to actually design for them as well. So all of these things considered, it makes our design much more practical.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Team Stellar. Now, moving on to Team Virya, what was it like to work on a live project with a project partner? I mean, from where you are looking at it, what was the experience like? Live project, a project partner coming in together?
Okay, so first of all, the process of finding a project partner itself was very enlightening. So we learned how to approach different government organizations, different NGOs, what to talk to them, how to get their attention, and how do we really connect with them. So the picture that we look from our side is very different from their side. So we got a small peek of how it looks from their side and how do we actually communicate very clearly with them. So our project partner, Selco, we are very grateful for Akshata. We had a very great rapport between us, and the project partners were very involved with us in all of the process. So we could really identify what they wanted, and they actually we aligned the goals, like both the goals were aligned together, so we didn't have any conflict between our ideas or what they wanted. So we are thankful that they also kind of went along the same lines of thought that we did. So one of the examples that I would like to give is having a HVAC system for cooling or not. So we had a lot of debates on that. So we were looking at it from the competition side, and we had different advisors from different faculties as well. And we came to an understanding as a team that the area that we are designing for, the skilled maintenance part, like after the installation, will be very difficult. So it is not really feasible to propose such a system. And when we went to the project partner for our design meeting, So even they were of the same view. So like that was one part which got very clarified from right from the start.
Very interesting. Very
So
interesting. Anybody
Janvi,
on the team? Yeah, Amanda, go
yeah, so
ahead.
Vivek, I just have a follow-up question for the team. I mean, yeah, so
Please.
you guys decided how did you guys provide the comfort in that case for the project itself? Can you
So
elaborate on that?
yeah, so when we decided that such a resource intensive system or a long term maintenance system is not possible, we tried to look at different passive design systems and we provided passive comfort hours which were required. And Pratishta, would you like to elaborate on what systems we used for the passive cooling?
Okay, first of all, the area was so remote that we had very limited resources. We couldn't go with newer technology like AAC blocks because they were not locally available. One of our aims was also to educate the community to build their own resilience shelters. So it was very important that we go with local resources. That left us with traditional materials like bricks, so we made use of that. And then we went for sustainable materials like coir pitch insulation for the roofs to minimize heat gain from the horizontal surfaces. We worked to reduce the wall window ratio in order to minimize heat gain through the envelope. And then to the compromise for the daylight that was also getting reduced, we provided skylights which had polycarbonate sheets of thicker kind of 35 with cellular walls, which reduced the heat gain while providing the daylight. So we got comfort hours of about 75%, which was actually good enough for the climate zone, which was a warm and humid.
Right.
Um,
That's very great,
also,
Pratishtha. Thank you.
also, I would like to add that since we were focusing very intensively on the cyclone resistance part, that left us with a very tight set of constraints for the openings. So the passive cooling part took a lot of our time, and we had to go back and forth again on each of the calculations to make sure that it is comfortable while using passive cooling.
Right, right. Thank you, Team Virya. I mean, great innovations over there. Great thoughts.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so this is for Team Stellar now. I mean, you guys, you are the only team that participated from your college, right? How would you describe your learning trajectory compared to your other classmates?
Yeah, it was a good experience, a good learning. We learn a lot of things like from engineering point of view, from different use of materials to different kinds of energy environment we can provide. It was a great learning. We had a lot of interaction with the vertical learning through our college seniors and faculties for their response that how system works and what would be helpful for us to have a good design that would cater to large density and using such shipping containers. So we had a great learning in this and all had a great cohesive interaction going on between faculties as well as other seniors. So it was a really good experience and a good sharing of learning thing for us.
Were your other classmates like jealous about you guys because you get to learn? You guys are getting to learn more.
Yeah, means we are way ahead of them as I think because somewhere academic lacks in things of not giving it too much to the technical part of it, so it's only constrained to designing part. So I think we learned a lot regarding what all technologies or what all can implement to be useful in real practice. So yeah, we think we are more ahead of them in terms of how things goes practically.
Adding to what Tanvi rightly said, again it again is very interesting as to how we learn different things, because engineering as a part is not much focused on in an architecture college. We just know the basics. So involving into more and actually discussing it with even our classmates at some times used to there was an exchange of information. They might not know what exactly which we have, but there's some information in, everyone has their own bank of informations, even with the professionals and all. So it again is a very collaborative experience. Again, we think that, when we discuss with them or when they discuss with us, it's helping each other, like all of us learn better. So again, yeah, we do have much comparatively better knowledge with them, but yeah, that would the entire process of sharing the knowledge would be much more better. So because ultimately we are designing and developing for the future. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, great. And your team also, I mean, your team had many other partner institutes as well, right? So what role did they play? What value did they add to your project?
Yeah, so basically we had two other partner institutes where one or two students from each of the colleges were there, and they were basically from side of engineering and technology. The Rashtra Sansad was basically just architecture students. So it was nice to have them, because the thing is, we sometimes think of something and we do not know whether it's practical or not, and at that point of time it's them that actually tell us, this is right and this is wrong, so we need to rework on that again. And that was very interesting, as to how we actually overcome each and every challenges which they also pose, and even the challenges which we pose to them. So that interaction was quite nice. So that again gave a sense of the professional life in construction, so at a very early stage, so that it helps us learn more.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, it's great to hear these things coming out from y'all. And I really feel that you are the change agents, so more than jealousy, I'm sure that you can also be the source of change for the rest of your classmates, for the rest of your college mates. Absolutely there. So, Team Virya, the question to you is, your college already has a master's program with students who have participated in solar decathlons before. Were you able to use that to your advantage?
Uh, So before the final presentations, we did contact a past team that we had, and we got feedback on our presentation from them. So that was really helpful. And our masters faculty who have guided the previous solar decathlon participants, even they had very good inputs for us at the later stages.
And what other feedback did you get? Were you the only one? Did you all have regular meetings with them? The regular catch-up times with them?
So we had regular meetings with our faculty, mentors, and our industry partners. But we had the entire master's department as well as a few other faculty who teach us at BArts level. So we had a different review meeting with them towards the end of the solar decathlon process. So we got to see how a third person point of view might uh, look like.
Interesting, wonderful. So, following up to that, in your presentation to the jury, when you were making your presentation, your first slide, if you remember, had a video clip, correct? And the audio didn't work. And one of you smoothly just started reciting the script, right? That was amazing. And what went through your mind at that time? Did you just know the script by heart, or what happened there?
Okay, so we were actually going to present with Microsoft PowerPoint with the presenter view. And at the last minute, we had to do that on Google Slides because the Microsoft PowerPoint presenter view didn't give the audio. And that actually even happened on the Google Slides that we presented. So, so that was an unknown technical error that we had to face, and it was a bit disconcerting at first, but we knew we had prepared so much to come to this point the show must go on. So we ended up reciting the lines at the start.
Wonderful. And who did that for your team? Who was it?
Okay, so the first part of the presentation was being handled by me. So I had to recite the words after listening to it on my own audio. So it was kind of overlapping, but like we knew the script by heart. We only had written it for the movie, so we included that as well as an introduction.
Wow, that's
But
incredible.
hats off to you, Janvi and team. Amazing. That was really, really spontaneous and amazing passion that you've shown through that. Wonderful. So now moving on to Team Stella, there's a question for both the teams over here. Did you discover any new talents about your team members during this 9-month period? Anything new? Team Stella?
Yeah. So as I said, so since this was again a part where we were learning different things, so in that case, so be exploring in the engineering department, and trying to sort out things on our sometimes on our, because again the clash of schedules was again an issue, because it's an online medium. We cannot actually you know dedicate a single time between us and the engineering part. So at that point, as to how we could, with the help of our faculties and with the help of our fellow engineering students, so we actually was surprised. I was surprised, as to how I was working with energy efficiency and energy performance. Given the platform and given the modules which was again being provided to us, it actually felt really nice, as to when you get out of your comfort zone and do something, and it shows, the result shows in a very positive way. So that is a very big point for me, and I guess my team as well.
Wow, that's wonderful. What about the other members of the team? Anything else that you observed? A sudden revelation where this person that you knew learned something new and demonstrated something very new to you?
Well, for
Team Stella,
me,
still with you.
yeah. For me, so we had this idea of introducing an app for for in times of distress and for in times of disasters, for the users to traverse to their nearest community resilience shelter. So for that part, so as in because I was in charge of the technological innovations area, so for that part I had to research over the system architecture that goes into developing a network, and how does basically an app works, and what are the authorities required to message over and contact in order to give the signal to the users to how basically a Google Map works, how can a person read, and also the UI UX, the user interaction interface uh, for the app to the person, that it gives a soothing and a calm presence in times of distress. So that was something new that I learned uh, through this process, which was quite different from architecture point of view, engineering point of view. It's more of a design aspect, and I found it very interesting, and I think that it will add in future somewhere, it will add up and it will help me in somewhat way.
So any questions that Amanda, you have some questions? I think I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, Vivek, from this for both the teams, how many of you from each team, learned energy simulations? Like, how many were actually working? I just
Manan
wanted
has raised
to,
his
yeah.
hand. Let's ask Team Stellar first. Stellar.
Yeah, Team Stellar.
Manan
Well,
has learned.
yeah, I actually everybody has learned it a little bit, because it was such a
Okay.
new thing that any one of us didn't want to miss it. So
Right.
even if one person or the other person was in charge, he always used to screen share and tell the other person ki this is how it's happening. This is so that the person gets the gist of what's happening. So everyone learned it a little bit. Yeah.
And whenever there were any kind of errors or any issues, did you approach your faculty or the
We approached the technical resource group of Solar
oh
Decathlon
great.
India. Yeah, it was very helpful. Yeah, Anmol guided us. It was, I think it was just before, I think it was 3 days before the annual report that we had to submit the final report for the selection of the six teams, and we were having some really major issues with the energy simulations. And then Anmol said, "You guys have not still at this time. You have not got all your energy simulations. I'm very worried for you, but." But he helped us a lot, and we were able to get this done, get that, and then fortunately we got selected.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
yeah, so
Wonderful.
Manan, this is going live. Would you like to say something to Anmol sir right now?
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? If he was not there, we would never have been selected, and I think I owe him something. Even I mean, if we get a chance to meet him, I think we owe him a dinner and something.
Right, yeah. What
Wonderful.
about
Wonderful.
Team Virya?
Team Virya. Yes. What are the talents that you found out, discovered about your team members during these 9 months?
So most of us had been have been knowing each other since the past 2 or 3 years. So and we have also worked on a lot of different NASA competitions as well as other competitions. So we already knew the strengths and weaknesses of each of the members. But we did get to know different sides of a lot of people. Like some people can actually sleep during an entire video call. So that was a different talent that we discovered. And some people can sleep, get up, and then they also hear things and they remember the things in their sleep. So that was a different kind of talent. And we could see like Rutuja was working on the costing for us. So we could see her in the costing mode for the entire 2 months of the last report. So that was a different talent. Rutuja, would you like to share that experience?
Please go ahead.
So, as Janvi said, the Excel sheet that was shared with us. So I and my teammate Sai, we were so involved with that Excel sheet, and just to like fill it up and like deliver the proper results. We were so much into it that we had to pitch in every discussion, or like for every point that was discussed in the team meetings about the cost factor, like पैसा नहीं है हमारे पास, please ये नहीं कर सकते हम. So yes, like particularly about the affordability contest. So I personally felt that in these 4 years as an architecture student, that was the most neglected part, or most leftover part for any design, academic design that we did. So this handling this particular contest was a great learning for me, to take forward in any of the projects that I take up, uh, be it a thesis or the other design projects. So yes, that was a learning. And through the like this particular competition, each one of us got to know their interest in each of the contests. So like, since we had discussions or team meetings where each of the contest was discussed there with all the team members being there, so we also got to learn that which particular area is of our interest, if we look at the further studies or for our practice in future. So that was a great learning for us to know about what are our interests and what we would actually like to learn ahead.
also, like as an architecture student, we compile our sheets on Photoshop and other heavy softwares and never use a Word. Like when I opened the Word and started to putting up and compiling the report, I was like, shit, I'm in architecture and I don't know how to use Word. So like, what the hell? I can't be surviving like this. And every day promising that I'm not going to use Word anymore, and then like next day opening the same Word file and working it. It was like, yeah. It should be like Word कुछ अच्छा होना चाहिए अभी.
Right.
Great.
Yeah,
So
looks
coming
like
to
so
Amanda's
many
question.
talents.
Yeah, Amanda, your question then, the famous question.
Yeah, so how many of you learned energy simulation in your team?
So the design builder licenses that we got, out of three, only one was working. And my laptop was always stuck during all the submissions. So because the energy simulations would be going on, and then my laptop couldn't handle anything else. So that was a bit frustrating about design builder being so slow, and the simulations eating up so much of my CPU. And since only one like only I could do the design builder simulations, Pratishtha actually like we constantly shared screens, so she would always be looking at different tutorials on YouTube, and she would tell me real time what I have to do. And then later we consulted Nidhi ma'am, who was our faculty advisor, and her guidance was really on spot, and it saved us a lot of time, and it gave the exact inputs that we required. So both the interfaces were different. So Nidhi ma'am had a tutor's license and we had a student's license. So some of the things in our license were of a different so some of the features were restricted for us. So she was telling us to do one step, and then we couldn't find that on our interface. So even that to and fro was taking up time. But Nidhi ma'am and Pratishta, both of them had patience, and my laptop survived Design Builder. So I'm very happy about it.
And another good news is that, I mean, this year every participant is going to get access to Design Builder. So all the team members will get license. Yeah.
That's a wonderful one. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk some more about the incubation program. I mean, what the teams you guys are selected for the incubation hub program, right? Uh, what what are your expectations from this program? Let's go with Team Stellar first.
Yeah, incubation is another level of coming to reality how our design would work in real terms, and it would be a great again experience and adding on to more knowledge and giving exposure to how business modules and business work in terms of how the market would work, how the investors would go about it. So it would be a nice again experience to learn how these things works with, because we as an architecture student didn't have that kind of exposure to it. So it would be a nice and great opportunity to learn this kind of things. Yeah.
And you guys are taking forward one aspect of your project, right? So can you talk more about that? What aspect or what innovation are you guys taking forward in the incubation program?
So we were given, so we were selected for three of them, which we shortlisted to two. One was the scalability aspect with using shipping containers, and second was energy transactions peer to peer on blockchain platform. So so as a team, we decided we are going to go with the um, scalability aspect with the shipping containers. And uh, when we were doing the competition, we realized that this aspect can be more is a more volatile. Sorry, it's more versatile in its nature of function. So it can be used for several different purposes rather than just community resilient shelter. It can be used for multi for multi-housing and affordability housing, and for various reasons. It can be used as shelters for army in a very harsh conditions such as Siachen and areas. So yeah, so we are looking on
Right.
that.
Yeah, interesting innovation. I mean, all the best to you guys. We are looking forward to look at your final product after the incubation hub. Yeah. Let's move on to the next team. What about you guys? What are your expectations for the incubation hub program?
Well, one would be to understand the feasibility of our product and how to turn our concept into practical examples. Also, our project is a social enterprise, so we want to learn how to reach a larger audience. And going through all of the presentations in our academics, we have often heard that your product is as good as you can sell it. So that would be something interesting to learn.
Okay, great. And can you talk more about the innovation that you guys are taking forward?
The innovation that was selected was a prefabrication bamboo unit. Uh, Mostly prefabrication is focused on materials which use a lot of embodied energy. Now, bamboo is a material which is extremely sustainable and more than that, available even in the remote parts of the country. So, prefabrication would not only help a lot of marginalized communities, but also in terms of disaster, when you need quick response, easy assembly of these sustainable materials would actually bring about a lot of change.
And we are
Wonderful,
also
wonderful.
looking at it as a social, the bamboo prefabrication unit itself as a social enterprise. So that would take in the available resources and then put in different skill sets, and it would also provide local income generation opportunities for communities. So it would be like an asset for the communities, and this network would be developed throughout. So wherever bamboo can be grown.
Very nice, very nice. So this would be the last question for both the teams. So team Virya, let me ask you first. What would be the advice or suggestions or inputs that you would want to give students entering the competition next, which is this year?
Okay. First is know your people, because it is very easy to get caught up in the complexities of net zero and the technicalities of it. So it is very important to understand that you are ultimately designing for the people. As a personal experience, when we talked to the NGO that was our project partner, we realized that just the lack of a basic healthcare unit results in people going from their village traveling to another place to get healthcare, and sometimes the machines are not even running to provide that facility. So the even the smallest thought of building a healthcare unit which could function 24 hours had a huge impact on people who consider this as privilege. So you need to talk to people who you are working for to make yourself more sensitive at each step of your design.
I'd like to add in that, like, be more disciplined, as we were very lucky for the last minute extensions. Otherwise, the reports were like uh, incomplete kind of thing. So be disciplined or manage your time according to that. And we are very thankful for the Solar Decathlon for the last minute extensions that really helped us.
And I would like to add here that know your audience. So Alok Deshmukh sir's talk about how to give a talk. So that really impacted us a lot. So we were supercharged after hearing that. And for the reports, at least we had tried to maintain a graphic style that was very clear and that could easily explain the intent without the words. So we tried to continue that for the movie and the final presentations. And for the movie, the audience that we identified was as many people as we could reach. So the most validating feedback that we have received from our friends and families and even strangers has been that even if we come from a non-architectural background, after seeing your movie, we can understand what your design is about. and they believe that there is a need for it. So that feedback has been amazing. So what we have been trying to communicate through the graphic style has been conveyed perfectly. So Alok sirs, do watch Alok sirs talk and know your audience before making a report or presentation.
Yeah, I myself was
Much
really
like that.
impressed with the graphic style that you guys had done. I mean, for the reports and the movies, it was amazing. Yeah.
And just before I forget, Team Virya, I know this is an all women's team. Was that a conscious choice or did it just happen?
Actually, yeah, we do have a Atharva in our team who handled the technical part. Yeah, but the majority of the team was all women's team.
All women's team. But was
Pratishtha,
that a conscious choice?
uh, so Pratishtha, would you like to add in? Then I'll go and then Rituja. So all of us
Well,
want to speak on this point.
but when we kind of come across a question like this, which we have been coming across since it's a women's college, so we are often asked what it is like working with women. So I always say that in the professional field, you are looking at people and not women. In some sentences, you talk about women empowerment, and then in some sentences, by using the word women a lot, you're kind of discriminating and uh, uh, kind of enforcing that there has to be some kind of uh, an encouragement or a different thing when it comes to working with an all women team. So we all had our strengths, and our uh, our work dynamics was not about the gender that we were working with, but rather about the people that we were working with and the talent that each of these people brought to the table.
And one of the important thing to remember is like we did have Atharva to handle some of the technical part, but a lot of us actually were working very equally. So even if we don't have an engineering background, we went in as much depth as required for the competition purposes. So we did work equal proficiency for all of the parts, and dealing with climate change. So that is for the whole of humanity, and it is the humanity's fight. So we would like to say that, like we would like to say to the people of this world that we have the right tools for decisions, and let's make a sustainable future. And Rituja, would you like to add?
Yes, so our like BNCA being the all women college, so like this is not any choice that was given to us. So we are a all girls college of architecture, and out of 15, 14 of us being architecture students, we all we girls participated in this competition. But whenever we participate in any of the group events or any um, academic level part in our college, so the since we are a all girls college, there is like we don't see it as a women's team participating, but when we participate in such competitions, it is often seen as a all women team that has been participating in competitions. But I think, as Pratishtha rightly said, that it is more about the people for whom you are working and with whom you are working, rather than being a all women team.
I think
And
I
I
totally
guess
love that answer. All respect, all power to you, women. Definitely, I mean, I love the way that Pratishta put it, and also Rutuja and Janvi. Thank you so much. And it's complete respect for the way you put it across. Complete respect. So let's move on to Team Stellar. Team Stellar, what is the advice that you would give students entering the competition this year?
I think first of all, in our case, it was like we weren't allowed for mobile structures, which wasn't our purpose as such. That is when we realized that we need to explore graphically more to express our idea, which was not mobility, and which was more of scalability, flexible scalability. Uh, this is how we came across with things to get our perfect methodology as such. So challenging the brief was also a part of, I think, the part of how we go with it further. So at first we were for the first report, when that is when we submitted the first report, we weren't much encouraged about this part of the innovation. But as the competition came to an end, and after submitting our videos and after giving the juries, we were quite appreciated for the innovation that we did in scalability. And I think the whole journey was somewhat gave us the strength to express our idea in the real sense, which we weren't able to possibly able to do in the first report. So this is how I think challenging the brief, knowing what we really want to express, would help us to, I think, convey our ideas in a better manner.
Yeah, again, adding to that, like challenging the brief, even we had a set of discussions with the SDI team, and they also helped us to actually get to the point where we actually completed a design. So that was again a good experience for us. I would also like to mention that know your context, because we were lucky enough actually to have a site visit amidst a pandemic, and we were able to identify actually to whom are we actually catering to, since the project partner being the G Southward office and the corporation. And again, we have a very old community with in the vicinity, that is the Worli Kolivada village. So those users were quite influential in as to what the disaster shelter would look like, what the disaster shelter would cater to in other times apart from disasters. So that was something which we were focusing on from the very start, as to the users it should not be just a building which is being erected with actually not with no community participation in it. So in this case, as we involve more communities to in such a sustainable and energy efficient development, we actually paved our way towards more developed in the same path, so that future constructions, even if we students and only the specific experts who actually deal with green architecture, it should not be just limited to them. Even the community, once they know that this is a very economical and practical application that we can use, so that would ultimately lead a fight towards against climate change. So yeah.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much. That was a brilliant closure statement from both the teams. And I'll now hand it over to Amanda. Amanda.
Yeah, so we got to learn a lot of talents from each team's innovations and teamwork. I mean, and the challenges that the teams went through. It was amazing. And thank you all. Thanks for joining us and sharing all your experience. It was fun to interact with you all. And you guys have done an incredible job. I mean, even during the pandemic, and you have set a really high benchmark for 2021 and 22 Solar Decathlon India. And now you guys are in this community of Solar Decathlon India, and you are also the young leaders for Net Zero. So we look forward to seeing you guys shape a net zero future. So let's all shape a net zero future together. So thank you and stay safe. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.